Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I am Dr. Javed Iqbal Khokhar, Professor of Forensic Medicine and Toxicology. As I've started the topic of autopsy, and this is the second lecture of this series, and the contents of today's talk will be that I'll be talking about the protocol of autopsy, what is meant by protocol of autopsy, and other investigations or examinations which are related with it. Then I'll talk about the death investigation and what are various death investigation systems and what are the laws which are related with death investigation in Pakistan. So starting with the topic, the protocol of autopsy, autopsy protocol. The principle of autopsy is that it should be uniform and adequate. And to make the autopsy uniform, a standard protocol of autopsy is to be observed. And to make it uniform and in a best possible way, the same autopsy protocol is to be followed in every part of the world. Because of its legal implications, the autopsy protocol is specific and very important. And before the start of work, there should be a written valid authority addressed in the name of the doctor. And the doctor should go through all the documents carefully before the start of work. Then the autopsy should be adequate. And to make autopsy adequate, a complete examination of the body should be carried out to find out the effects of physical and chemical changes on the body. And it includes complete external and internal examination and collection of specimens if required for subsequent examinations. And those examinations are the toxicological analysis. For example, if the suspicion is of poisoning, then the specimen for the toxicological analysis should be collected. Then biological examination for any trace evidence. If you pick up a trace on the body, and that should be sent for biological examination that they belong to the same individual, the dead body, or some other. And these traces may be the blood, the semen, saliva. These are the biological trace evidences. Then specimen for histopathological examination. If we suspect the disease or any other process, then the specimen for histology, histopathological examination are collected. Then bacteriological examination, if there is some infection, then the bacteriological examination, the specimens are collected for that. Now the death investigation system. What is death investigation and how they are investigated? It's basically teamwork. It includes the police investigation, the forensic science collection of evidences at the scene of crime, and the medical part is the examination of the body. So death investigation is basically a teamwork of police, the forensic science experts, and the medical officers or doctors conducting the autopsy. Now the death investigating systems which are prevalent, most of the countries define the investigation of suspicious or criminal death. And every citizen has the statutory duty to inform the circumstances of death to the police. Whereas in our country, the police under section 174 and section 176 of Criminal Procedure Code, they investigate, they visit the scene of crime, and doctor is not the part of that team. Whereas in developed countries, this is done under the definitive medico-legal system. And the medico-legal system, there are three which are prevalent throughout the world. So, three death investigating systems which are prevalent in the world, they are the medical examiner system, the coroner system, and the continental system. The medical examiner system, it is prevalent in USA, and it is being observed in 22 states in USA and in 4 provinces in Canada. A medical examiner is a licensed physician in a state who is officially empowered and trained in pathology to investigate deaths which occur under unusual or suspicious circumstances. And he can perform the postmortem examination, and in some cases he has got the jurisdiction to initiate the inquest, that means to initiate the inquiry. The types of death which are reportable to the system or the medical examiner, they are determined by the federal, state or the local laws. Now the second system is the coroner system. The coroner system is prevalent in 11 states in USA and in 8 provinces in Canada and in England and Wales. A coroner is an elected official in a jurisdiction who investigates sudden and unexpected deaths, who may or may not be a physician. In England and Wales are divided into coroner districts by the Lord Chancellor, and each district consisting of the area or the areas of one or more local authorities. The relevant local authority with the consent of the chief coroner and the Lord Chancellor must appoint a senior coroner for the district. The history dates back to feudal England, and office of the coroner existed even before the 10th century, and the coroner interpreted as the crown of the king and assumed as judicial functions, and acted as inquisitional judge responsible for investigating, interviewing and make judgment in the cause of the death. This was the most common system as far as determination of death and other legal and forensic issues related with the death. Now the third system is the continental system. It is also known as the European system. The common and the major difference is that no official comparable to the coroner or medical examiner exists in this system to investigate or to supervise the handling of the deaths in the community. And this interest is retained by the executive or the judicial officers of the law enforcement apparatus. That is, this power has been retained by the law enforcement agencies, who are the initiators of all the investigations, and as an adjunct to this system, the medico-legal experts are included, and they are specially designated, and they are there to assist the police in their investigation. And now the laws related with the death investigation in Pakistan. They are the section 174 of Criminal Procedure Code and section 176 of Criminal Procedure Code. And there are police rules, which are police rules of 1934 for the conduction of autopsy, and there are also health department instructions which issues from time to time for conduction of autopsy. So the section 174 subsection 1, 2 and 3 of Criminal Procedure Code. Police to inquire on suicide, homicide and accidental deaths. Under section 174 subsection 1, the officer in charge of the police station or some other police officer of the same police station, on receiving information that a person has committed suicide or has been killed by another or has been killed by an animal or by machinery or by an accident, or has died under suspicious circumstances, raising a reasonable doubt that some other person has committed an offense, that is, a homicide. Then he shall immediately give intimation to the nearest magistrate to hold inquiry, and he shall himself proceed to the place where the body of such deceased person is, and there, in the presence of two or more respectable inhabitants of the neighborhood, shall make an investigation and draw up a report of the apparent cause of death, describing the wounds, fractures, bruises, or any other marks of injury on the body, and shall also state in which manner or by what weapon or instrument such injuries or marks appear to have been inflicted. Then this report shall be signed by the police officer and other person which are present at the scene of crime, and shall forward this report to the district magistrate or subdivisional magistrate. And when there is any doubt regarding the cause of death, with a view of its being examined, he shall forward the body to the nearest civil surgeon or any other qualified medical man appointed in this behalf by the provincial government. Now, this section 176 of Criminal Procedure Code. Under section 176, it empowers the magistrate to inquire into the cause of death when any person dies in the custody of the police, that when there is any custodian death, that the person is in custody of police and dies, the magistrate is empowered under section 176 to hold an inquiry. And in any other case which have also mentioned in section 174, clause A, B, and C. So he can in additional inquire into those deaths. The magistrate may cause the body to disinter and examine. This is also empowered under section 176. So, under section 176, subsection 1, any magistrate so empowered may hold an inquiry into the cause of death instead of in addition to the investigation which has already been done by the police officer. Then subsection 2, he has got the power to disinter the body. Whenever such magistrate considers it expedient to make an examination of the dead body of any person who has been already interred, that means buried, in order to discover the cause of death, he may and he has got the power to disinter the corpse. Then he can pass the orders for the disinterment of the grave and order for the autopsy of the exhumed body. Now, the autopsy protocol. It's a written, signed legal document. When we say protocol, protocol means a written, signed document. So, autopsy protocol means a written, signed legal document which contains all the records of the autopsy findings and the conclusion drawn, which acts as a proof and is an evidence to be presented in the court of law. That is protocol of autopsy. And it contains the biodata, the personal information of the deceased, the identification, which is usually by the third party, and the findings of the examination, which are the findings of the external examination, internal examination, and systemic examination or preview. And it also contains the collection of samples and recoveries which the doctor has made, and conclusion drawn, the opinion which has been framed by the doctor. And all the documents which are coming to him and are going out, they are mentioned in that report. They are seen and signed by the doctor. Then there are certain pre-autopsy formalities. Pre-autopsy formalities, they are very necessary, and they are visit to the scene of crime, transportation of the dead body, registration of the body on arrival to the department, and the pre-autopsy storage. Then there are certain legal formalities which are to be fulfilled before the autopsy should be conducted. And other formalities, they are also will be mentioned later. Then place for the performing of autopsy, which is necessary. But the most important pre-autopsy protocol, they are the visit to the scene of crime, transportation of the body, and pre-autopsy storage. Now, regarding the visit to the scene of crime, in our country, this is the job of the police. And doctors are not the part of the investigation team, whereas in the developed countries, the system, it is the job of the crime investigation team, and the medical doctor is always the part of that team. They cordon off the area, search in the scene of crime, and they sketch and take the photographs of the scene of crime. The position of the body is noted, and the collection of material like weapons or other material which are found, they are collected. Then they look for the signs of struggle and preserve them. And they search for the biological and non-biological trace evidences, that any evidence which are left on the scene of crime, and it helps in identifying the individual. Then regarding the transportation of the body, the prescribed principle is that the dead body should be transported with due care and not to lose any evidence or may not induce any post-mortem injuries. The body should be wrapped in plastic sheet, tied at the head and the foot ends. Then regarding the registration of dead bodies on arrival in the autopsy department. On receipt of dead body at the autopsy center, the authorized staff will register and make entries in the general register and entry into the autopsy register. Then putting the identification tag showing the name, age, sex, and police station from where the body has been received. Then shifting the body to the storage room in the freezer. Now, regarding the columns of registers, in the general register, the serial number, the name and identity number of the deceased, the name and the numbers of the constables and their police stations, date and time of delivery of the body, finally when it is handed over to the police after autopsy. And in the autopsy register, the yearly number, which is the yearly serial number of the number of autopsies being carried out, and the autopsy number of that particular doctor which is conducting the autopsy, and the name and date of time of autopsy, details of the specimens collected, and the provisional conclusion about the cause of death. Then the pre-autopsy storage. Regarding the pre-autopsy storage, for short-term storage, the bodies are kept in freezer having +4 degrees centigrade. And this is short-term preservation. But for long-term preservation or storage, which is usually required after the autopsy, the bodies are kept at -20 degrees Celsius. and this is the freezer, and the body gets solidified. Now regarding the legal formalities. When the police brings the body to the mortuary, initially they request for the preservation of the dead body for 3 days, during which the legal formalities are fulfilled. And the most important legal formality is the lodging of the FIR, the first information report, by the legal heirs in case of any suspicious, homicidal, accidental or suicidal death. Then issuing of the authority letter in the name of the doctor or the head of institution where the autopsy is going to be conducted. This authority letter is the most important document without which the doctor cannot conduct autopsy, and this is the picture of the authority letter. Now regarding other formalities, they are about the documentation. The documents which are required prior to autopsy and documents which are issued after the autopsy. The documents which are needful prior to autopsy, they are the authority letter for conduction of the autopsy, and in our country the authority is the state, and police acting as state gives us the authority for conduction of autopsy. Then the documents which are the necessary certain documents, and there are certain conditional documents. Necessary documents which are prior to autopsy, they are authority letter, dead body challan, copy of the FIR, inquest report, and the injury statement by the police officer. This is the picture of the copy of the FIR. This is the injury statement by the police officer, and this is the request by the investigating officer for conduction of autopsy. Now the conditional documents, they are required when the person was initially injured and was hospitalized, and then the following conditional documents which are required: medical legal certificate, MLC, hospital chart and the treatment notes, and the operation theatre notes, operation notes, and the death certificate. So this is the injury statement when the person was injured and brought to the emergency. And this is the medical legal certificate, front page, and this is the back page of the medical legal certificate. And this is the ward or treatment notes by the ward. And these are the operation notes and other X-ray reports or other reports which are needful. And sometimes the person is received dead, that is injured, and during the transit he dies, and then the accident and emergency will issue received dead certificate that will also be delivered to the doctor before autopsy because it denotes the time of receiving dead. Then the inquest report or the panchnama. It is a report in which the available history of the case and the circumstances under which the body was found or recovered are recorded. And this is recorded opinion of the witnesses and the police officers regarding the injuries and the manner of their causation, the cause of death, and the indication of suspected foul play, if any. The whole purpose of preparing the inquest report under section 174, subsection 1, is to investigate into and draw up the report of the apparent cause of death and describing such wounds as may be found on the body, and stating in what manner or by what weapon or instrument, if any, they have been caused. That the inquest report was not the statement of any person wherein all the names of the person accused were to be mentioned. Now the types of forms. There are 3 types of forms: Form Alif for the natural deaths, Form B for the unnatural death, and Form G for the poisoning cases. So these are the inquest or panchnama forms which are prepared by the police in various situations. And this is the picture of the inquest report or the panchnama, where all the history has been noted. and the position of the body and location has been identified. Then the place of performing autopsy. A well-developed and well-designed autopsy suite is the basic requirement of the conduction of the autopsy. And it is designed as an operation theater, but the operation theater, the main objective is to prevent the infection not to be introduced to the patient. Whereas in autopsy lab, the main objective is that the infection should not be transmitted to the staff and the autopsy surgeon from the body. So thank you very much. This is all about the lecture number 2. I'll continue the topic of autopsy in the next lecture. Take care. Allah Hafiz. Bye-bye.
Please subscribe to my channel, and this is my channel name, Dr. Javed Iqbal Kokhar, Lectures on Forensic Medicine.